Hello, everyone. We're going to wait for our participants to get into the room.
So Karen, maybe out of curiosity, you might just let everybody know how many we have registered for today.
Oh, yes. What was that? It was 123 at last count. So right now we have 42 people in the room. So we're going to give it just a few more minutes. Okay, we have a couple people who do not have a link for this class. I'm going to go ahead and send that to them. I don't know why.
Well, why don't I go ahead and get started, because I've got, while we're getting more people joining us, I've just got a few slides that aren't part of the main presentation, and we can, I can go through that. So I'll just go ahead and do that, Karen.
Okay.
If you'd like to.
That sounds great. Sorry. So welcome to Building a Compelling Website. Our presenter today is Jerry Denniston. She is a very experienced counselor with the Maricopa Small Business Development Center. And she will be going over how to build a compelling website. So Jerry, I'm going to let you take it over.
Great. Thank you so much. And welcome everybody. I'm excited that we have so many people. One caveat to that, though, I usually like to respond to questions throughout the webinar which you can put in the chat, and you can also raise your hand. Karen's going to be monitoring that. But with as many people as we have, I may not be able to get to all of your questions. So my plan is that after the webinar, we'll be reviewing that chat log, and I'll do my best to respond within a few days, and everybody will just get the answers. But
Jerry,
yes.
Just one quick thing. I cannot see if somebody raises their hand when we are in this mode.
Oh, okay.
So if they will just go ahead and put their questions in chat, that would be great.
That's fine. Yeah, just focus on the chat and not the Q&A area, please. Okay, so as Karen indicated, I am one of the business advisors with the Maricopa SBDC. If you're not familiar with the Small Business Development Centers, we are the largest of 10 centers in the state of Arizona, and we offer a variety of free counseling, training, and other resources like this training that we're doing at no cost to our clients and people who may not yet be clients of the SBDC. And that is thanks to funding from the Small Business Administration, the Federal Small Business Administration, and Maricopa Community College District, who are our hosts. I'll tell you a little bit more about that and some of our key partners after the webinar, but I just wanted to give you that preamble. You can always go to maricopa-sbdc.com, our website, to learn more about the Maricopa Center. The as Karen said, I am a former director. Also, I'm working part-time with Maricopa now and really enjoying the working with my clients more directly. I've got, 30 plus years in marketing and nearly 20 years now of focusing on digital and social media marketing. And in that process, I've also built several websites. So I don't pretend to be a website designer or a website developer. That is not, I would never sell myself as that, but I know enough about doing that and graphic design to be competent and to be able to share some information with you that's really going to be important if you're on the cusp of creating a website, or you think your website needs a refresh, and or you just want to change it up a bit. So that's really what we're going to be talking about today. First of all, you should have, Karen sent out to the majority of you, the two handouts, which is copy of this slide deck and the website building checklist, which was put together by WBE, I think Website Building Experts. And that's what I've used basically to walk you through this whole process. If you did not receive those two, please check your spam folder or your junk folder just in case they went there. But if you have not received those two handouts, then contact Karen. This is her email address, and she will send those out to you afterwards. I know that she did get them out to just about everybody. This session is also being recorded, so it will be up on our website within a couple of days, and you can always go back and review it at any time. So today's topics, these are mainly the 5 main topics we're going to cover. Creating the website plan, gathering your website content, really important. You gather all of that material ahead of time so that you've got it handy somewhere on your desktop, because most of it's going to be in digital form. Build your site. We're going to go through the process of selecting platforms, that sort of thing. And then once you've hit the publish button, there's some things you need to do, and we'll talk about that, about making it more SEO friendly, etc. And then I'll provide along the way a variety of resources to help you in this process. So first, let's talk about creating the website plan. The first thing you need to do is figure out what's the purpose of my website, right? Is it a portfolio site? You've got different sites that you can create. And this is important because this is really how you structure your content. But, are you an artist? Are you a photographer? Are you really wanting to showcase your portfolio? Then that's the one kind of site. Is it predominantly a blog or a vlog, a video vlog? Because there are people that only have that, right? You don't have a separate website. You just focus on blogging or vlogging because it's the experience and people want to follow you. And maybe you're generating income from guest posts. So that's another way to do it. Are you planning to sell online? Are you selling digital products or physical products? In which case you need to choose a site that can handle e-commerce really well, or has an integration with e-commerce. So you can create a store and go through the process of selling online. Maybe it's a resume site. Maybe you're looking for a job, and this is something that people do. In addition to LinkedIn, they simply build their own website that they can use as a reference. If you're selling yourself as a consultant, you might want this as a resume site that you can point people to, that just focuses on who you are as a consultant, your expertise, etc. So that could be a direction you might go. Maybe you're a speaker or a coach, in which case you are the brand, right? It's all about you. It's not about the name of the business. It's about you as the brand. And so that's a different kind of website. Or you're an event coordinator and you're creating weddings. You're coordinating weddings and concerts and festivals. Then you're going to showcase all of those events that you've coordinated and talk about the how you do that. So those are different types of websites. You need to think about, what is the purpose of this website, number one. Next, how are you going to build it? Are you going to do it yourself? Because there are simple drag and drop builders that you can use, like Wix or Weebly. If you are more advanced, and you can choose WordPress. It is like the #1 website building platform. A lot of people who are experienced bloggers and web designers prefer WordPress. It does have a lot of integrations and a lot of plugins, but I don't always recommend that for someone who's a newbie and just getting started, because to me, it's not as intuitive as some of the other drag and drop builders. And if you are really tech oriented, then HTML coding might be the direction you want to go. And if you're a web designer and you're going to hire a web designer, they may choose to go that way and do HTML coding because they can really customize and design a really cool website. The caveat that I always recommend to my clients is that if you're going to hire a web designer and they're going to build it for you using Joomla or some other HTML coding, who's going to update it? Because it isn't the designers, and I don't know if there are some of you on this webinar as attendees, but my experience is designers are people who like to design and develop and not do all of the updates. And they're busy designing. Once they've completed your project, they're on to the next client, or they've got a team of people that are working on other website designs and development. And they don't necessarily have a team of people who are the support people that do the updates. You just want to change a date. You just want to change a form on the website. So if you go the direction of hiring a designer, make sure that you've covered how it's going to get updated and who's going to do the updating. And then the other question is, do you have a budget, an ongoing budget for management? Because that's the other key thing. Links break and they have to be checked on a regular basis. And is that something you know how to do and you want to do, or are you going to hire somebody? Do you have a budget to hire somebody on an ongoing basis to check that for you, make sure the SEO is working properly, and you don't have any broken links on the website? So if you're creating,
Jerry.
Yes.
We have a question. Do you have
Mhm.
recommendations for easy drag and drop web builders?
I do, and you're, nice segue because we're just coming up to that. Yes, Wix and Weebly are two easy drag and drop builders. Ionos and GoDaddy both have drag and drop builders, and they actually use the same one because I've tested that myself. So those are 4 platforms that do easy drag and drop. Shopify, actually, if it's an e-commerce store that you're creating, Shopify does have drag and drop building capabilities. I have not used Squarespace, but I work with a lot of clients who do have a Squarespace site. So I have yet to get behind the scenes with them on their Squarespace site to see how that works. But Wix has really become, over the years, it has really upgraded its templates and services, and it's got entry level as well as very high level capabilities. So Wix, this is the caveat I always give people between Wix and Weebly. Both have phenomenal templates. Both are mobile friendly. Weebly, once you pick a template, usually if the logo is in the left-hand side, the template will keep it in the left-hand side. You can't move it over to the right or to the center. In Wix, you pick a template and everything is changeable. So the good thing about that is everything is changeable. The bad thing about that is everything is changeable, and it's really easy to accidentally drag the wrong piece of text, the wrong image, out of place. But you just need to be cognizant of what you're grabbing when you're working with Wix in particular. But it's a really customizable website for drag and drop. I see there's another chat about multiple purposes, e-commerce, podcasts, online resources, which platforms cover multiple. Well, a lot of them, they cover, I know Wix has a blog, for example, and I think you can do podcasts. You can do all kinds of integrations. Wix and Weebly both have integrations. They aren't plugins like WordPress calls them plugins, but each of these websites have multiple integrations. Some you have to pay for and others are free. Both have stores. Weebly has partnered with Square, So if you have a Square account, then Weebly is the platform that they've chosen to integrate a website and email marketing and Square. So that might be an option you want to go. Wix is still its own entity, hasn't partnered with anybody yet, but has a multitude of integrations for podcasts, for blogs, for embedding videos. I mean, there's a lot you can do with that platform. Okay, let's continue here. So creating the website plan, does it have all the features you need? So this is important. Once you've listed, these are all the things I want, you want to make sure most of them are mobile friendly, right? But when I say mobile friendly, Wix is an example of this. When you're designing in Wix, you've got two views. You've got the mobile friendly view and you've got the desktop view. Most of us create it in the desktop view. You always have to go over to the mobile view to see what it's going to look like on mobile, because if you've created two columns on the desktop view, the mobile view can't do two columns. So everything's been moved around, and sometimes you end up with gaps and spaces. So you have to go in and adjust the mobile view for every page that you're creating on the desktop view. Now, that's not true for all platforms. Weebly does a pretty good job of just moving things, but the templates are simpler too. So that's something that you want to consider when you're looking at those two platforms. And I haven't really tested that with the Ionos drag and drop builder or the GoDaddy drag and drop builder. But the other integrations that you're asking about in terms of blogs and videos and shopping carts, most of them have those integrations. The other thing that you want to look at, and this is mainly coming from your host, your web host, where you purchase the domain name, and we'll talk about that in just a minute, is that you want to make sure you have the capability of turning on the secure socket layer. This creates HTTPS : / your website name, which is really critical if you are collecting any kind of confidential information. And that confidential information can be something as basic as an email address, because that is considered confidential information. So, but definitely if you're selling online, creating and accepting credit cards and doing the online purchases from your website, then you definitely have to have an SSL turned on. So it's an HTTPS website. Most browsers will send a warning. Firefox does this, I know. If you land on a website that is HTTP, then most browsers like Firefox will put a warning saying this is not a secure site, and the visitor will likely bounce off. I do see that Chandra has raised her hand, and Chandra, if you could use the chat instead of the Q&A. Hi, good morning, Chandra. You're just saying good morning. That's great. And Justin, use Square. Is Weebly and Squarespace the same thing? No, Weebly and Squarespace are not the same thing. Squarespace is a totally separate website, and Square is the POS system that has partnered with Weebly. So Square offers email marketing, and they use Weebly as the website designer. And so they've integrated that way. Let me get back here to other integrations. Check when this is part of what you want to do when you're looking at these different platforms. And I recommend that you do look at a variety of platforms before you settle on one, unless you're going to go with a website designer and the designer is going to recommend a platform to you. But ask about blog integration, ask about image carousels, review what kind of images they provide. If you can put in a gallery, because if you're doing a portfolio site, you want to showcase your portfolio, right? So you want to be able to display that in a really nice format. Does the platform offer email marketing? Does it offer a store? Can you do pop-up forms on the site? And pop-up forms, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but they really, even though it can be annoying, they're really successful at generating leads. Yes, Karen.
Jerry, we have a couple questions.
Okay.
Jerry, please also address the problem with websites and the CRM/CSM messaging incorrectly sending unsecured links, which are inaccessible when generated for email and text.
I'm not sure I understand that question. Could you repeat that again?
Yes, address the problem with websites and the CRM/CSM messaging incorrectly sending unsecured HTTP links, which are inaccessible when generated for email and text.
Okay, so that's you're combining CRM email marketing with website, two totally different things. So the CRM, which is the customer relationship management system, is usually not part of the website. The website is simply the place where you're showcasing all of the pages that describe your business, who you are, your about page, the products and services you're offering. The customer relationship management system is separate. That's usually combined with an email marketing system like HubSpot, MailerLite, MailChimp, Aweber. Those have CRM systems, and the email is usually not part of the website. Although Wix does offer email marketing now, a lot of these web designers, web developer, web platforms are beginning to integrate email marketing. I just haven't turned it on. I usually use a separate one. But it would be, the issue would be with, in terms of sending a wrong link, would be how that's coming from the email, that's not coming from the website. So I'm just talking about developing a website. I'm not really talking about email marketing today, except to mention that you need to have that as a branded, as part of your brand. So I hope that answers your question. Maybe what I should do is a webinar down the road on email marketing platforms and customer relationship management databases. They do work hand in hand. But today we're just focusing on building a website. So I hope that answers that question. Let me get back here. You want to check on the website platform that it has both free and premium. Most of them do, so that you can check out the templates and the themes and make sure that you're able to choose one that you like and that you can customize to the best of your ability. And then make sure you've reserved a domain name that makes sense, not something long, but something short. And I'm going to interject something here. We're not focusing on ChatGPT today, except I'm going to mention this is, if you haven't heard about ChatGPT, it's an artificial intelligence tool that is just really hitting the mainstream now. More and more people are beginning to use this. You can actually use ChatGPT with other tools to help you build a website. You can also use it to help you come up with a domain name. So it's a query that you use once you've registered on openai.com or another platform that uses ChatGPT. Then you can query, ChatGPT to develop a domain name that is around the subject that you're looking for. So that's one way you can come up with a bunch of domain names, and you want to keep it short. And the reason you want to keep it short is, think about it, 70–80% of the people who are searching online are doing it on a mobile phone. So they're typing with their finger, and they don't want to have to type a really long domain name. And it also should be something that is simple, easy to understand, easy to pronounce, and maybe 10 words at most, 10 characters, 2 or 3 words strung together, no dashes, no dots in between, because people aren't going to remember that, or they don't see it. So you want it as one word. .com, .net, .inc, .us. Those would be the most popular extensions to use from a business standpoint. .org is usually reserved for nonprofits. And so that's important. You can go to GoDaddy, you can go to Ionos, you can register it in Wix, you can register the domain in Google. If you register your domain at GoDaddy and you choose to use Wix or Weebly to build your website, then there's just a process where you have to point what's called the name servers from the GoDaddy site over to your Wix site. And that needs to happen in order for Wix to generate a HTTPS website for you, a domain. Same with Weebly. So you can always register domain names in another location like Google, like GoDaddy, like Ionos, and then have your website on another platform. Or you can, make it simple and just register it within Wix. I always choose to buy my website domains from the least expensive source I can find, because a domain name is a domain name is a domain name. And then I can always, use it on another platform for a landing page or a website that I'm building. All right, you also want to list all the content, do a Word document and list, all the pages you're going to want. What are the titles of those pages, and what text and images do you need on every single page? This is, again, organizing all of this content and keeping it in a document, because it's going to be helpful not just for you in going through this checklist, but it's also going to be helpful if you are hiring a web designer, because they need all of this in order to build something for you. They're going to ask you all of these questions anyway, and you've got to create the content and send them the images. That's all part of having someone design a website for you. So here on the right are some sources where you can purchase images. Some of them actually offer them for free, like Pixabay and Unsplash. They also have iStock photos, and I think there's some other stock photos you can purchase. I do not recommend that you just do a Google search and find an image you like on Google. Those could be copyrighted, and you could really get into big trouble. You want to make sure that if you found an image on Google and you really, really like it, you contact the source. Google will tell you that it may be copyrighted. You need to go to that site and see what it would cost to purchase it. So the best option is, use one of these sites. If you want to purchase it for use on your website and in your landing pages and your email marketing too. Content for each page, list the titles, list the subheads, and then write the text. And this is another place where ChatGPT can come in handy, because you can tell it, I want you to, write me a homepage for selling used athletic shoes like Nike or something like that. And give me a title, it's called a hero title, give me a tagline, and give me a description of what's on that page. And ChatGPT will write that for you. If you don't like it, you can tell it to regenerate and create a new set of titles and subheads and text. And then you can say, do it for this page, do it for each one of those pages. You do need to be specific. If you are not really specific, then ChatGPT doesn't really know what you want. So as you experiment with this, you will see that you need to get more and more focused and more specific. Tell it what kind of images you want it to find, that sort of thing. And then you won't know necessarily if those images are copyrighted or free. So you might have to tell ChatGPT to find you free in the public domain images that you can use. Anyway, it's a tool you can play around with. The development of ChatGPT throughout this year is that it's going to start you can start designing images and videos with it, but we aren't there yet. Yes, Karen, am I hearing that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is ChatGPT, I can't say that,
yes.
Searched as one word or two words?
It's one word. It's lowercase chat, and then the capital G, capital P as in Paul, capital T as in Tom. And openai.com, I think, is the, if you just type into Google ChatGPT, you'll get to that website. There are other tools. I mean, Google has created its own called Bard, B-A-R-D, which I have not played around with yet, but that's the competitor to ChatGPT. You also don't forget about your social platforms. I have a lot of clients who, I work with them on their websites and giving them some tips for improving. and they don't have their social platforms connected. So if you are on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, if you're on TikTok, if you're on Twitter, LinkedIn, you want to make sure those are connected. And there are two different connections that I'm going to cover on this. And that is the social share buttons at the bottom in the footer, and you could put them at the top as well. And I would recommend both places because people are scrolling and you know, they don't, if they get to the bottom of the page, it'd be nice to have your social share buttons there so they can follow you on Facebook or, you know, follow you on Instagram or look at your profile on LinkedIn. The other social share that I'm going to talk about are connecting the buttons that enable someone to share what they see on your page on their own sites. And that gets you more visibility. You also want to list all the products and services that you're going to be promoting and selling on your website and have those described. So if you have physical products, you want a picture and you want a description and you want a price, because that's all going to be part of the shopping cart that you're creating. And I highly recommend thinking about some giveaways for lead generation. And a giveaway can be a digital download, can be a short video you created on how to do something. It can be a 2-page guide on how to do something that's relevant for the audience that you're trying to attract. And the reason for this is it tied to a pop-up form that is connected to your email marketing platform. The pop-up form is created in the email marketing platform and embedded on your website and provides an image of what this giveaway is and encourages people to give you their name and their email address in order to collect that free giveaway. And this is a really still a very good way to generate leads and begin to build your email list. And these are people, if you don't do something like that, then you have no idea who's visiting your website. You have no way of marketing to them, doing any kind of follow-up. It's just a one-way communication. They visit your website and they may or may not take any action on the website. They could bounce off because for whatever reason, but you have no way of capturing that lead. So that's one of the best ways to do this. Research. This is another thing you need to do as you're gathering and preparing your website checklist. Do your keyword research. These are the words that people type into Google when they're looking for something. And again, you can do what are called short tail keywords, which is 1 to 3 words, no more than that people type in to Google as they're searching, and that's going to give you a broader search than just something that is called a long tail keyword. That's a lot more specific. So again, this depends on who's your audience and where do they live and work. Are they within a certain geographic radius of your store? For example, do you have a physical store and your website is really focused on trying to drive traffic to that physical store, and most people are only coming from a 5-mile radius? Well, then you want to be specific and you want to use long tail keywords that tell people that you're in a geographic location. And those words in that order need to show up on the pages of your website in that specific order. If you used 5 words in a specific order, like best pizza in Surprise, then your web page, somewhere on the web page, needs to say, we have the best pizza in Surprise, Arizona, in exactly that order. So that's how Google knows, oh, that website talks about exactly that keyword. So the other thing you can do, here's another use for ChatGPT. You can ask ChatGPT to do keyword research for you that is relevant for the content and the focus and the product, your business that you're providing. And that's another way to speed up that whole process. I've given you on the right-hand side over here a list of various keyword tools. They're both free and premium. Google Keyword Planner, this is, is one of the top ones, and it's now become pretty easy to use. It's part of their ad planner program, but I would recommend that. The Keywords Everywhere is an extension you can put in your browser in both Chrome and Firefox, And so then once it's installed, as you do keyword research, it'll automatically offer up some other options and give you links. And so you can see who the competitors are that are using those keywords. What you're looking for is maximum volume, at least over 1,000 a month, with minimal competition. And the competition is usually from 0 to 1. So it's a 0 to point, so what you're looking for is something in the 0.5, which is the 1 equals 100. So 0 to 100%, under 50% competition. So you're looking for high volume and low competition. Logo, if you haven't created a logo, you can use Canva. If you're good at designing and you enjoy using Canva, you can use Canva to create the logo for you. Again, I think you can begin to use ChatGPT and tell it to design you a logo that is about whatever the topic is about, and make sure and tell it to use certain colors. Now, you may not be able to do that with ChatGPT. It's possible you have to use another AI tool, but those tools exist. I don't think they're free, but they may have some free trials. You can also hire a designer, a graphic designer, to design a logo for you. The logo is important because you're going to put that logo on all your social platforms, and you want to be consistent with the use of the logo because this is your brand. If you aren't the brand, then the logo becomes your brand. And you want something modern and bold, and using the brand colors and consistently using those brand colors. The tagline, as I've mentioned before, you can ask ChatGPT to come up with a compelling tagline for you. And so that is another way that you can speed up that process. I mentioned briefly email. This is really important. This is part of your branding. A lot of my clients have the brand name at gmail.com as their official business email address. That's the easy thing to do. But what would be better is to have your name at yourwebsite.com. So, for example, my husband and I we have a consulting practice called Denner Group International. DennerGroup.com is the website. We have branded emails. Jerry at DennerGroup.com, Eric at DennerGroup.com. Our host, InMotion Hosting, doesn't host the website right now, but it's the host, the original host for a website that I had built originally in Joomla. It hosts all of our emails. So InMotion Hosting as the host, where I purchased the domain name also, I think, provides an unlimited number of emails for us. So I can have admin at DennerGroup.com, info at DennerGroup.com. We have that with the SBDC, admin at Maricopa.domail, no, admin, I think, or info at domail.maricopa.edu, something like that.
I'll tell you right now, it's
what is it?
Info smallbiz at domail.maricopa.edu.
Okay.
And I will type it in the chat.
Thank you. It's a long one. But anyway, the point is that you use a branded email, that you don't use, Jerry Denniston at gmail.com or Dennergroup at gmail.com or at yahoo.com. So check your web host to see if they offer that. And you'll probably have to pay for it. It's not usually free, but it could be part of the hosting platform, part of the hosting service that you pay for. And then you can always forward it. That's part of what they offer, is the forwarding, the capability to forward it into Gmail, into Outlook or Yahoo, whatever email platform you're using. So you aren't having to go into, webmail in order to get that business email. The other thing I recommend is you have a separate phone number that is a business phone number. So if you don't have, a hard line, which a lot of people don't have anymore, you might want to get an extra mobile line that is just for your business, or use Google Voice or some other voice over internet service that is just for the business, so that you're keeping personal separate from business. It's important to do this from a banking standpoint. It's equally important to do it from a business phone and email standpoint. Keep your business email business and have personal email separate. Keep your phone, have a business line and a personal line, and they can both be ringing your mobile phone. You just know that when a call comes in and it's forwarded to your personal mobile phone, that's a business call that's coming in. So I did use ChatGPT. Yes, Karen.
Sorry, what's the best size and format, e.g. JPEG, PNG of logo to use?
So for screens, if you're not printing it, I think the 75 pixels, something from 75 to 150 resolution is fine, because it's the resolution for a screen. If you're going to print, then you definitely want to go 350 or above. But if you do have high resolution images, you can use Canva I think you can use Canva, the premium version of Canva, to downsize them to, you resize them and change the resolution. You can also do that in Adobe. But a graphic designer, if you're working with one, can help you with that. I always like to use a resolution around 150 for images, just so that they aren't blurry. But if you start with a big image that's like, and when you download an image from Pixabay, for example, I always choose the middle range, like 1250 by 1400, something like that. Because if it's big like that, I can always make it smaller. I can resize it smaller and it won't get pixelated. If you start with a really small one and you try to enlarge it, it's going to be pixelated. So start big and then resize it to the size that you need for your website, and change the resolution also in the process to around 150. I hope that answers that question. So in terms of design trends, 2023 design trends, I asked ChatGPT to tell me what are the current design trends for this year. And this is what it came up with, along with examples, because I asked for give me some example sites. And I recommend you check these links so that you understand. So bold and vivid colors, if that is what your brand is about, then look at Behance.net, because they're using bold and vivid colors. If it's a mobile first approach, which Airbnb is, so you know that most of your people are going to be searching online, and so responsive design is really what's important to you, then you might want to look at Airbnb and see how they're handling that. And then look at Apple, because they have such unusual and interesting ads, and their website is asymmetrical. Yes, Karen.
I'm sorry, just you can continue, but we have another question that we missed.
Okay.
Regarding the privacy policy, is there a good standard legal clause to use, and how do you add it to your website? I have an HTTPS already and do not have an e-commerce site.
Okay, so what I have done is both Wix and Weebly offer a template. So if your site is built on either one of those, check the privacy message template there. There are also sites you can go to, which I have done before I've done a Google search for a privacy template, privacy message policy template. And then you go through the process and several screens of, is this going to be available to people in Europe and in California? Because it's going to add in I think it's called GDPR, the requirements for European privacy, for California privacy. You have to make sure you've got those also added in, but start with the template on Weebly and then customize it for yourself. Start with the template on Wix, do a Google search. I don't remember the sites where I had gotten that, but that's something, Karen, maybe make a note, we can look that up for the privacy policy. The thing that you do want to make sure is included is California has a certain language that must be included, and Europe, the European Union has a certain language for privacy policies that must also be included in your policy. And then I always recommend you just put it as a link. It's a hidden page on your website, and you add it as a link at the bottom in the footer so someone can read that. Yes, Karen.
One other question, how do you create a round logo versus a square logo for social media? Her site is built on WordPress.
Canva. Canva is the best tool. The reason I really like Canva is you can upload your logo into Canva, and then if you pay for the premium version, which I think is like 120 to 140 a year, you can resize a logo. It gives you, you can also tell it to create a profile image for Facebook, for Instagram, for LinkedIn, for Twitter. They're all different. They've got templates for the Facebook and Twitter cover images that you can customize. So I would use Canva because you've got a lot of flexibility for reshaping that logo into a circle, which can be challenging if your logo is square or vertical. Understand that. Canva.com. That's my favorite tool for that. So back to website trends. These are, interactive animations and micro interactions. Also, our increased use of artificial intelligence and machine learning. No surprise with IBM and Watson, right, and Google Voice. But here's some other user experience in storytelling. We all know the telling stories. This is what people are really interested in. Blogs are good for that. But telling stories on your website in your about section, that's really important as well. People want to know who's behind this business, and they want to know about the person behind the business, because people are really more interested in doing business with someone they know or feel they know or they can identify with, and or the causes, if your business is supporting certain causes. If minimalist, neutral color palettes, if that's kind of your style, then you maybe want to look at Stripe. Instagram obviously is all about visuals and videos, and video is king. So, if you're comfortable being on camera, then please make as many videos as you can, because that's going to attract a lot of attention. You can embed the videos on your website. You can upload them to YouTube and link them to your website. You can use them on Vimeo and then link that to your website. There are a lot of options depending on the platform and the integrations there. And then augmented reality and virtual reality. Those are really popular right now. And Wayfair, as an example, I'll just tell you, I used this recently. It was really cool. I'm looking for stools to replace some stools around a little high top table that I have in my breakfast nook. And I found a stool that I like, and Wayfair actually let me take that stool on my phone as an image and walk over with my camera, walk over to my breakfast nook and see how that stool would look with my table. That's augmented reality. Okay, Wayfair does that really well. Some of the online shopping sites for clothes will allow you to see, have a virtual model of yourself and see what it looks like, on that virtual model. So you kind of get an idea, what's it going to look like on you before you buy it, right? So if that's something that you want, not every website platform that we've talked about does that. Probably WordPress does, but if you're going that direction, you probably need a web designer who is really good with CSS and HTML coding. I don't think Wix does augmented reality yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if down the road they do. Google, of course, is going to focus on optimization and performance. That's really, they're all about speed and performance, and there are tools that you can use for free to check the speed of your website. We'll talk about that in just a bit as well. So now we're down to selecting the platform, because you've gone through gathering all the text and images, you know what you want on the site, you've explored some templates. So now choose the mobile-friendly template or theme that you like, that knowing that you can change the colors. And now it's time to look at what's your brand colors. And this is also important. You want to make sure you're using the same color of blue, same color of red, the same color of green. And I highly recommend going to this website, this htmlcolorcodes.com. It's free, and it will give you the millions of different shades of, green, purple, red, magenta, whatever colors it is that you've chosen, and then write down this hex code for that particular color. And if you've got 3 different colors you're using, you want to give that hex code, use that hex code for each one of those colors in your logo, in all of your branding that you're doing, in the titles, in the text. And if you're having someone else design for you, you will give them those hex codes so they aren't trying to match it online, right? So it's really important that you're consistent with that. And I talk about, I've talked about branding in other marketing webinars that I do, but you can create a logo, and it's good to have a logo that is full color, that looks great on a white background, that is also reversed out to put on a black background. So if you've got a full color logo, when you place in its purple and green and gold, it may not look really good on black, for example, or a dark navy blue background. So you want to have a white version of that logo as well. And then you want to have a JPEG version. You want to have a PNG, because PNG will drop out the white square, the white space background. JPEG will always include a white background. So PNG, portable network graphic version, is the one that gives you a transparent background. Those are the 2 versions of your logo you're going to want to use, and always have a reversed out white version along with a full color version. You may also need just a plain black one. So as you're having someone design your logo, keep those in mind based on what, as you're creating flyers and marketing materials, you may want to use white on dark navy blue or purple or black. Okay, trends in colors. I asked ChatGPT for this as well. And this is what ChatGPT gave me: bright and bold, neutral and minimalist, earthy, organic. So if you're in the food business, you might want these colors, right? Earthy, that's related to earth and food. Maybe that's what you're about. Pastel shades, blush pink, powder blue. If you're all about kids' clothes and you're marketing to moms and dads, maybe those are the kind of colors you want to focus on. Jewel tones, depending again on the industry that you're in, those are popular colors. And then I asked ChatGPT to give me the meanings of these colors, because this is important to keep in mind as well. So red, love, energy, passion. Valentine's Day was yesterday. It's all about red hearts, that sort of thing. But my caveat here is, if you choose red, any shade of red, but especially the Valentine heart red, use it sparingly, because we have been psychologically, we have been conditioned to consider red a stop color. All stop signs are red. So and it's a really subtle thing, but if you use a red call to action button, it's telling people psychologically, unconsciously, not to click on the button. So, and there's science behind this. There's research that's been done by people to see what's the best call to action color button. I haven't done that research lately, but orange seems to be a really popular color. So if you can integrate an orange and it's and it works with your color scheme, then maybe orange would be a good call to action button. But don't use red for call to action for sure. Yellow. Karen, did you have a question?
There was a question, when registering your logo as a trademark, what color do you recommend?
It's your brand colors. If you're gonna trademark it, then you want to trademark it with the colors that you're choosing for your brand. But you can also trademark it as a black and white. So you might also want to trademark the black version as well as the full color version. If you trademark only one and it's a really popular looking design, someone else could maybe take that and use the full color version if all you did was trademark the black. Especially if you're doing trademarking. The trademarking is really all about the logo. So it's the color, it's the words, it's the image that's in the design that's being trademarked. And so also the name, if there's a name or a tagline that goes with it, you can trademark a logo. You can trademark a logo with a tagline. You can trademark a logo, which is an image and with a stylized font that is your brand name. Those are, so those are all considerations, and then each one costs, some additional funds. But that's all done through the US Patent and Trademark Office. So trademarking, very different from trade name in Arizona. I hope that answered that question. Yellow is all about happiness, optimism, positivity, but again, it's also the caution sign, right? We're ingrained to think yellow, caution, yellow, school zone. So think about that and the use of yellow. It might be appropriate, it might not. And green is all about prosperity and growth, money that's associated with it. Blue is all about trust, calm, serenity, peace. So if that's if that's what you're promoting, is that kind of coaching and that kind of consulting, then you want to make sure you're including blue for sure in your color scheme. Purple, creativity, luxury, right? We think about purple velvet robes on kings and queens. One more caveat here. Again, in any of these colors, think about the audience that you are promoting to. And if your audience is worldwide, global, then some of these colors have specific meanings for them. And it'd be good for you to investigate what the colors mean in Asia, in different countries. Purple, for example, is the color of death in Indonesia. So if I were marketing to Indonesians, I would not want to use the color purple because that's a funeral color. So again, these are just things that you want to keep in mind: who your audience is, where they live and work, what their cultural background is, and how they would react to the colors. If you're just marketing to the US and the general population here, then you've got a little bit more flexibility, I think, in terms of colors with some of the cautions that I've provided. Black is the color of elegance and sophistication. We always think of when you want to set you go to what do we call it? An elegant event where it's you're wearing a tux. It's usually black and white, right? And ball gowns, that sort of thing. Again, it's also the color of death, funerals in the US. So how you pair it with other colors matters. And then white is all about purity, innocence, simplicity. So those are the meanings, the subtle meanings. And these are all really subconscious, subtle, how people have grown to identify with these different colors. I will also caution you that if you choose blue and black, for example, as your colors, do not put blue on a black background. It is really impossible to read. Do not put a yellow, if you choose a yellow color, on a white background. It is really hard to read. So look at how it shows up on the different colors that you're choosing. When you want, if you're having a dark background, choose a light color. If you have a white background, you can choose a dark color, because high contrast is always the best. And the highest contrast you can get is white on black or black on white. So keep those color schemes in mind. Your voice, this is also important. How you come across on your website, in the text. This is the words that you're using to talk about your business. And this is your voice. So the fonts can be fun, they can be formal, they can be casual. The fonts you choose and the point size you choose make a difference and help to give the character to your words. Yes, Karen, did you have another?
Someone had a question about other colors. What about pink or variations like teal?
Yeah, those I didn't have room to go because again, there are millions and millions of colors, right? So the teal color is kind of in the blue and green. That's sea green, right? The sea, the ocean. I'm wearing teal. I love it. So those have different meanings, and I would just use Chat GPT to come up with tell you the definitions for teal, for rust, for some of these other variations of the main colors that I provided here. Again, I mean, and you can also do a Google search on it. I just had fun with ChatGPT to give me some of that information. But if you do a Google search for the meaning behind the color teal, the meaning behind the color rust, you'll get answers as well. In terms of your voice, decide based on who the audience is and who you're talking to. What's their age, and what's the what is it you're trying to impart? Are you talking to PhD, an audience of PhD educators or scientists? Then you probably want to be more formal and scientific and really quote the science and the evidence behind what you're talking about. That's going to be a different font and definitely different words. If you're talking to moms and dads about their kids, then you probably want to be more casual. So think about, what's the voice? If you're talking to an audience and your personality is all about fun and energy, then use a font that shows fun and energy, but still legible. Don't get them too many curly cues and hard to read. And also don't make things all caps, because all caps online is shouting and people consider it rude. It's rude in social media, and it's also considered rude and shouting online on a website. Large font, not a problem, point size, in terms of point size, but use upper and lower case, a lot easier to read. Also, don't center all your text on the page. We don't read books with centered text. We are used to reading books and papers that are left justified with space between the paragraphs, and maybe the paragraphs are indented 5. Think about what you're used to reading. Centered text on a page, with a lot of centered text on a page, is hard to read. Our eyes and our minds have a hard time wrapping around that, and people won't try to decipher that. They'll just bounce off your page. So a little bit of centered text, like a headline, fine. A short phrase, no more, a short paragraph that's like 20 words, centered, to just because it looks really good, that's fine too. But if you've got a lot of text on a page with like 3 or 4 paragraphs, it should all be left justified. That's just, or you could even make it right justified if there's an image that it's lining up with. It all depends about the balance on the page. That's all part of the graphic design that you want to play around with. But the voice is important, how you come across. The other thing I will say is, even if you are, a PhD and you're comfortable using a lot of, big words, most readers and most comprehension is more at the 6th and 8th grade level. So you want to write as though you were talking to a 6th grader or an 8th grader. If a 6th grader can understand what you're talking about, then you've written it well. If a 6th grader can't make sense because you're using too many multiple syllable words and too many big words that they have to look up in a dictionary, you are not doing a service to your audience. It's the wrong audience that you're writing for. So consider that when you're writing your text. The font trends, I asked ChatGPT to give me font trends, and this is a website, looka.com, I guess is where I found these trends. And I would recommend going there if you aren't sure what font you want to use. I do not recommend just using Times Roman for a serif font, but you want to use a sans serif font like Arial or Helvetica. I mean, those are sans serif. This is a sans serif font that I'm using here because you don't have the squigglies and the curlicues at the bottom of each letter, right? Times Roman is a serif font. It's always good to have a headline as a either serif or sans serif, and the text as serif or sans serif. We're used to reading books with usually a serif, a sans serif headline and a serif font. So think about ease of reading, ease of comprehension. That's really important when you're choosing your fonts. But these are different trends, and these are just the types of trends. And then this website, looka.com, actually gives you example fonts for each of these. So, you know, again, if you want to use, if bold and vivid colors are what you're going for on your website, then maybe big, bold, and sturdy are the fonts you want, right? So think about the colors, think about the mood, the ambiance you try to create on the website, and then pair the fonts to keep that same mood going and that same voice. All right, we've talked about website platforms and selecting them and e-commerce integration. Shopify is one platform if you're definitely selling online, especially if you're selling physical products, but you can also use BigCommerce, WooCommerce. Those are integrations. Those are just stores that integrate with WordPress. And Weebly has a store and it integrates with Square as a checkout process. Wix has its own store, and you can sell digital as well as physical products. You can also do an Amazon store to sell physical products on Amazon and have them handle all the fulfillment for you. So that's the other thing. If you're selling physical products online through a web store, who's handling that fulfillment for you? Because if someone purchases products from you, they have to get shipped out, and you've got tax and shipping and handling. So have you got a fulfillment warehouse that's handling that for you, or are you having to do all that packaging yourself? And so those are decisions you need to make as well. Yes, Karen.
Is e-commerce good for a cleaning service business?
Well, it is. I mean, if you're selling the products that you use, so you're doing cleaning service and you're using, you know, products that are eco-friendly like Grove or something like that, then you might want to sell them on your website as well, because maybe that's the differentiating factor why someone would choose your cleaning service over some other cleaning service, is because you're using eco-friendly products to clean the house or the offices. So
And then-
yes, I could say you could definitely do that if you're selling products.
And one other question, any other fulfillment providers locally other than Amazon?
There are a lot of fulfillment providers locally. I'd have to do a research, but it also depends on the industry you're in. If you're like we have clients that do bottled hot sauce, for example, or other kinds of, they create the recipe, but they use a fulfillment house to actually follow the recipe and create the product and bottle that in cases of 6 or 12 to ship out. So it's a matter, and there are some in Arizona, there's some in California. I know, depends if you're in the food business, then that's going to be the way to go. But there are also fulfillment houses that you can use where you can ship your products to them and they'll handle all of that fulfillment. And some of them may be local, but we'd have to do research. I don't know off the top of my head, but yes, I'm sure there are some local ones here in Maricopa County that we could potentially refer you to. And some of my colleagues might also know. Because they deal, I mean, Anna in particular deals with restaurants and people in the food business, so she may know even. I talked earlier about the social share buttons, and these are the ones I wanted to make sure. This is the piece that a lot of people, maybe they connect their own website, you know, their own social platforms on their website, so people can go to their Facebook page. But the ones that you also want to connect are these that are like floaters that you choose to have floating down the left side or the right side of your web page. And even on a mobile version, it'll show up at the bottom. So as people are scrolling on their phone down your website, those social share buttons are always there. And those social share buttons take the website visitor to the website visitors Facebook page or their Twitter or their Instagram. It takes them there so they can share with their friends and families what they found online. And that's what you want. You want people to be able to share easily your website, your web pages on their social platforms, because that's just people selling for you, right? It's free visibility. So make sure you have included those. Share this, Elf site, add this. Those are three different ones that you can choose, and they offer them at no, I think they offer them for free. I'm pretty sure Share This does, and it's easy to just embed it on your website. Works on Wix, works on Weebly, probably works on WordPress. Yeah, it works on WordPress. Pretty short. And then SEO. I mean, Wix, you can go through every single page. That's part of being in behind the scenes. It has the whole, walks you through a whole menu of making sure that every single page is SEO friendly. That means making sure that every page has head tags. Every headline has a tag that says it's a headline, whether it's an H1, an H2, an H3, that all the text is tagged as text, that there's a meta description, and the meta description tells Google what this page is about. So when people are searching, Google knows, as people are typing in keywords, that that's a headline, that's the text, that the description on the page is relevant to what someone is searching for. And these are really important to do. And if you hire someone to do, build your website for you, you want to make sure that they're also going through the process of doing the SEO, creating the meta tags, creating the alt text for every single image. So if you're doing it yourself, you upload an image to use on your website. You want to, you may have described what the image is just by naming it, but the alt text is important because that tells Google what is in that image. So if it's a picture of a mom pushing a stroller, that's the alt text. Photo of mom pushing a stroller. That's what you put in the alt text. You describe what's visible in the photo, so that when people are doing a search, Google knows that would be an image that that Google can serve up, and it just happens to be on your website, on your web page. So alt text for images, meta descriptions behind the scenes, and all the tags for heads and text are really important as part of the SEO. There's a lot more to do from an SEO friendly standpoint, but those are the key things that you absolutely should be doing. All right, someone asked about the email marketing. This is where this comes in, and connecting email to your website is important. But again, it's a separate platform, unless, like Wix, it offers email. It's still a separate. It's part of the. It isn't part of Wix. You build the website on Wix. You have to pay extra for the email marketing. I haven't tested their email marketing. I don't know how good it is. I don't know if you can run automated campaigns in the Wix email, or it just gives you, your name at yourwebsite.com email to use. I think Wix offers templates so that you can design, but the ones that do email really well, because that's really where they got started, that's MailChimp, Constant Contact, Aweber, Drip, Zoho. Those are all email marketing platforms first and foremost, that offer automated campaigns that make it possible for you to write a whole series of emails ahead of time, stick it into a campaign, tie in a pop-up form, embed the form on your website, have a lead magnet like a download. Someone fills out the form, gives you their email address. They go automatically into that list that you're building on MailChimp or Aweber, and they get into the campaign, because that pop-up form was tied to the campaign. That's the initial, that starts the campaign. And now they get your series of emails once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, forever, until you decide to make a change to it. And that just keeps going, and that helps you build your list. And that's what's powerful, and a customer relationship management system too. Some of them have a really good built-in CRM. some of them don't. It's really just a list. It's all based on lists. And you can segment the lists and you can do targeted emails. I mean, there's a lot you can do with email marketing, but having a form that you build in there that you embed on your website links those two and helps you begin to build a marketing list of people that you can continue marketing to. And that's a really important piece here. Okay, well, I didn't mean to do that. I clicked the wrong thing. Let me see if I can go back. Yep, sorry. Dangerous to click the wrong button here. Okay, pop-up forms, we talked about that to capture the visitor emails, the automation campaigns, you know, it went ahead of myself. You also might want to think about a landing page. Some of these email marketing systems actually offer the capability of creating a landing page. Landing page is different from your website page. A landing page is a single focus. There's, you know, this is what you would use if you're promoting a certain product. If you got a sale going on and you want people to buy, you know, the shoes that are on sale or the special promo that you're doing, then it's better to have a landing page rather than send people to your homepage on your website. Create a landing page that's all about that promotion and give them an incentive to either buy on that landing page or click, fill out the form to get more information about the promo. And maybe it's a BOGO coupon. If you want the BOGO coupon, they bring that into the store so you get buy one, get one free, then give us your email address, download the coupon and bring it into the store, right? So, or use that coupon with the code. They don't get the code until they've given you their email address. And then they get the code and they can shop in your e-commerce store and use that code and get a 10% off or get buy one, get one free, whatever that promo is that you're doing. You can put those landing pages. You might be able to embed, create it on the email marketing system, embed it on your website. You can also create a landing page on your website instead of through the email marketing. The caveat there is it's really hard to turn the whole menu off at the top. So if you build a landing page in Wix, for example, as part of your website, then, and that has a single focus, you still have the menu at the top. So someone can still click on the About section, the Contact Us, all of those, and that distracts them from sticking on the landing page and taking an action there. You don't want any options for menus. You want them to stay there. You want them to take action on the landing page. That's the purpose of that. Yes, Karen.
Should there be separate landing page for each item for sale?
Only if you're doing a special promo. I wouldn't do it for each item for sale. But if you're doing a special promo, you might want to create a different landing page. And the landing page would be valid for a certain time, right? You'd only run it for a week and then you turn the landing page off. And then you do another promo, another item that you would promote. But I wouldn't create, I mean, especially if you've got a store that has, you know, 15, 20 items, you don't necessarily want to build 20 different landing pages. You might do a promotion that is buy two and get one free or something like that. So think about it more as something to promote for seasonal promotions, that sort of thing, something special that you're doing versus a landing page for each product. You're going to kind of get that anyway, depending on the shopping platform, the e-commerce platform you're using, your store like Shopify. Each product in there has its own page, so people can click for details, see the images, maybe see more, you know, photos of it on that page, get the description, see what the, if it's a, you know, something that you eat, and maybe it's got the ingredients listed, all of that, that's the page, right? Shopify provides that. And then there's a price and a checkout button. So you wouldn't need to build a separate landing page for that. Okay, now we're down to, we've built it. We're going to preview it. Now we're going to publish it. Before you publish it, check every page, make sure there are no typos, use Grammarly, Grammarly, install Grammarly, turn it on in your browser. So it'll check, it'll automatically find words. If they're words that are unique to your industry, acronyms or something like that, and Grammarly doesn't know them, you can add them to your dictionary. But I highly recommend that you don't have pages full of typos and using poor grammar. I always write content in Word, check the grammar, check the typos, and then copy and paste, not from Word, copy and paste the text into Notepad, and then upload that to the website page. And the reason I don't directly copy from Word into the web page is that Word sometimes has some hidden characters in there, hidden language that the web platform picks up, and it creates spacing issues and other things, especially if you're using unusual fonts. So always good to use Notepad. It's just as plain text. And then if you set up your fonts in your template, when you paste that plain text in on the web page, it'll use the font that you've put in there as your design font for heads and text. Check how it looks, how easy it is to navigate. It's easy for someone to get around. You might want to have friends and family navigate, look at your website and try the navigation and see, is it easy to find what they're looking for, to move from one page to another. See how it looks on desktop and mobile. Check to see what it looks like on your phone, on a tablet. Those are all important things. And then even if you hit publish and you're doing all this and you find typos, don't worry about it. Just because it's published doesn't mean it's going to get found, right? It's going to take Google a while to find it, a couple of days at least, to find your website. So don't panic that you found some errors on the page or on one of the pages. Just go back in and change it. And keeping your website up to date and changing it and updating it on a regular basis keeps it fresh and lets Google know this is an active site. This isn't just a brochure site that I don't need to pay attention to anymore. If you created a website years ago and you aren't doing anything to drive traffic to it, ultimately, even if you've used unless you've used some really unusual keywords, Google probably isn't going to serve it up, not on the first or second page. It's going to take, because it isn't new. It's not being updated. Check every single page. Like I said, review the SEO, make sure that's set up for every single page. And again, that's going through in your dashboard, checking on the SEO for every single one of those pages. Make sure the contact us page works, do a test, use a different email address and, register, send yourself a message, see where that goes. Is it linking properly to your email marketing platform? And then try the free gift and make sure that works, or have a friend or family member do that and see if they did get the download. Did they receive it? And you want to make sure that's all working properly. And then we're almost at the end here. Now it's time to install Google Analytics. This is free, and it's really important because this is a code that Google gives you. It reviews your website once you type in your URL and gives you a code to install in the background in the header area. Now Wix will automatically, it's different for each platform. In WordPress, you actually have to go install it, find the header code. It's a little more complicated, which is why I recommend a web designer who does WordPress to do that for you. On Wix and Weebly, in the dashboard, it will ask you to just paste the special, I think it's a UI code or something like that, the Google Analytics code in there, and it does behind the scenes, it puts it in the right places. It'll take 24 to 48 hours once you've done that, and you've published again. Now, every time you make a change, hit the publish button or the update button. And it's going to take Google 24 to 48 hours, maybe a little bit longer, to find it. So give it time. It's not going to happen immediately. The other thing you might want to consider, and I don't know if any of this is free, but heat maps are another interesting thing to track. And this is something that can be added as an integration. And the reason it's interesting is if you, Google's going to tell you how many people visited your page, how many clicked on a link, how long they spent on your page, whether they were browsing from a desktop or a mobile platform, where in the world they came from, what source sent them to your web page, whether it was Facebook or, the direct, a direct, which means they typed in the URL because they knew it. Google's going to give you all of that information through the analytics code. The heat map is going to give you an idea of where people are spending time on your page. So these are mouse tracks, right? These are, someone started here, they went over here, they went down here, they looked at these. That gives you an idea of what people are looking at on your web page. So now well, gosh, if that's what they're doing, they're looking at the menu and their mouse is going across, then they're coming down here. Now you want to look at the images and the content that's there, and maybe you want to replicate that on every page, right? So the heat map's going to give you some interesting information. So there's a URL there to give you some ideas. The site speed test is another. This is going to tell you whether your images are way too large. The resolution is too much, because if it's going to take really a long time to load, people are not going to wait. You've got 3 seconds basically for someone to be interested in your website. So it better load fast, and the images better resolve really quickly, because if they're waiting longer than 3 seconds, they're just going to bounce off. So Google, this is a source where you can go test the speed of your web page. Once you've got it, you've got it published and it's working the way you want it, etc. Then go do the Google page speed insights, and these are Pingdom and GTmetrix are 2 others. But the speed's going to also depend on, are people accessing via Wi-Fi? Are they accessing via a mobile operator using their data plan? Do they have wired connection? How much, are they in an area where there's like, in rural up here? I happen to be in Yavapai County. In the rural area, we don't have as much high-speed internet in certain areas. And so if the neighbor next door is streaming video, I had this before, and I don't have a direct wired connection to our router, then my computer slows down considerably, and all the websites are slow to resolve. So again, it depends on the environment you're in, and the usage times. How many people are online? Is everybody away at work? Is everybody at home streaming videos, watching sports and YouTube videos? So those are things that you also want to consider. But loading time should be less than 3 seconds. All right, we are at the end. Very good. We've answered some questions along the way. And let me see if there are any other questions. We've got a couple minutes. Anything else, Karen, that we might need to add? Any other questions to cover? Otherwise, I'll just go into the next.
I believe that we took care of all of them. There was one person who wanted to, who asked if we could just ask questions at the end. I don't know if she's still on here. So type in your questions if you have them.
Yeah, go ahead and type them in. I'm just going to go through the next few slides. I don't have a lot left, but I wanted to give you a little bit more, as I promised, about the Maricopa SBDC. So we provide, this is the website that you go to, maricopa-sbdc.com. If you are not a current client and you have not registered for assistance, with us, we can only serve clients in Maricopa County. So if you're located in Tucson or, Yavapai County or somewhere else, there is a center near you. Believe me, there is another SBDC near you, and you need to find them and register on their website and not ours, because we can only serve people in Maricopa County. But we provide counseling services. The way this works is, Karen will be your first point of contact. She'll see that you registered, and then she will decide, based on what you said in that registration, who is the best counselor to support you. And then she'll send an email connecting you to that counselor. And then we do our best as a small business counselor to reach out to you within a couple of days. Sometimes it could be longer, like if you registered on a Friday and everybody's off, then it'll be Monday or Tuesday before someone gets back to you. So just know, depending on the day of the week that you registered, especially if it's over a weekend or a holiday, It could be longer than 2 days. So, but that we make every effort to respond within 48 hours. That's our goal. And then we schedule an initial counseling session with you, and we go through some documents that we have to collect, that the SBA requires that we collect, and go through the process of finding out what your goals are, what are your needs, and how can we help you. And then there are a series of follow-on sessions, and we work with you to track your business goals, help you grow, help you achieve those goals and those objectives. And periodically, we're going to ask you to fill out a document that tells us, how did we help you increase your sales? Did we help you with access to capital, if that's what you're looking for? We have a lot of resources and business tools that we can provide to you free of charge, such as a business planning tool. We have on our staff, we have 2 former SBA lenders, so they can help you with access to capital. We have someone who's really adept at angel investing, and we have 2 people that know export, international trade, and export. And then, most of us are kind of generalists. I'm more the marketing person, but we have another person who's also marketing oriented, and we have people who are really high tech oriented. So wide range, and we have someone who's been in the restaurant business. We have another person who understands transportation and trucking. And so a lot of the industries are covered by the different talent that we have in our team. If we don't have the answers to help you, then we can reach out to someone else in our network in the state of Arizona. And there are almost 1,000 SBDC centers across the nation. And so we can also reach out to them. I mean, it's a broad network that we have access to help you achieve your goals. And yes, Karen.
There is a question. What is your opinion on Ionos versus Bluehost, and which would be better for WordPress?
Both of them are fine for WordPress. Ionos is, I mentioned that because it is the big competitor. It's the European competitor to GoDaddy. Their customer service is phenomenal. They've got 24/7 customer service. I buy a lot of domains through Ionos because of that. Even though they're based in Europe, it's, they're very responsive. They have WordPress sites. They have a drag and drop builder also, just like GoDaddy does. GoDaddy handles WordPress and drag and drop. Ionos versus, what was the other one?
Bluehost.
Bluehost is also a good one. I have a friend, a client, personal client whose WordPress site is hosted on Bluehost. So Bluehost is very good. I just forgot to mention Bluehost. Yes, that's fine also. Either one for WordPress doesn't matter. And you can buy your domain through either one of those. I always look for what's the least expensive. I know that Ionos and GoDaddy compete with one another. So if I'm looking for a domain name, I can usually get it for 99 cents for the first year on Ionos, and I may have to pay $1.10 on GoDaddy. And then they're about $15 to $20 for a 2-year contract every year after that. But if it's the first year, you can usually get it for around $1. I don't know about Bluehost, and that isn't true for Wix. As an example, you're going to pay about $15 for the first year and ongoing, depending on the site. So there is a survey that you should get after this. So please do fill out that evaluation. It informs us. It helps us know how we're doing and what we can do better. Yes, Karen.
Should I assume that if I create flyers on Canva and get the pictures on their site, that those photos are safe to use as far as the copyright is concerned?
No, not really. I mean, Canva will tell you they're safe if you purchase the flyers and have them printed on Canva. But if you want to use them, download the images from Canva, you really do have to pay for them. And Richard Gonzalez may have an answer to this because he's raised his hand. Yes, Richard, can we unmute him?
I'm asking him to unmute.
There,
Yeah,
Richard.
okay, got it. Yes, I want to access all this information that we went over today. Where do I access that at?
Oh, we're recording this webinar and it will be on our website, maricopa-sbdc.com within a couple
Okay.
of days. And so the recording, you can view at any time in the future. And then
Okay.
if you have not received the handouts from today, then Karen has your email address and she will be sending them out. There were people that registered today that did not get it as of yesterday. So she'll be following up to make sure that those that did register today will get the handouts.
Okay, that sounds excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And then Chandra has got a question or would like to speak.
Okay.
Chandra?
Just unmute yourself, Chandra. There, you're unmuted. But we can't hear you, Chandra.
Maybe it was earlier.
Okay.
Okay.
Might have been. Okay, well, we are at the end. We're 5 minutes past. So thank you everyone for joining us and for the interaction. It's always, I enjoy being able to chat with people and answer questions as to the best of my ability. If we did not get your questions answered, again, we'll get that chat log and we'll do our best to respond after the fact. And I think I need to do some research on the fulfillment houses locally and the types of fulfillment they do. So we'll get that to you as well. Thank you again, everyone. It was great and we'll see you online soon.
Bye, everybody.